First off, once again I seek forgiveness for the delay in getting my videos out. Unfortunately, I went out for my birthday where my loving family passed on a bug to me. That bug happened to be the flu. Although I joked that it was man flu, I was wrong. It was full-blown flu that developed into a chest infection. I now sound like I have attempted to swallow a house brick widthways. But on the mend, and now with a few stories to tell. As explained in my last video, I recently spent 3 days dragging my festively plump rump across northwest Wales. As stated, since I was so busy trying to see as many historical monuments as possible, it didn't leave a lot of time to go terrorizing the locals more than any spirit or poltergeist. Not that I didn't try, much to my girlfriend's annoyance. Love you, dear. Anyway, that means that I have had to do a bit of online research to find out what things go bump in the night. For this episode, we're going to take a hop and a stumble over the drink into the Isle of Anglesey. We spent a full day travelling around as many locations as possible. One location we went to was that of Beaumaris Castle, an impressive castle with a rich history of English dominance and Welsh defiance. The castle itself dates back to 1295 and was constructed by Edward I, known as both the fortress of near-perfect symmetry and the greatest fortress never built. Beaumaris Castle was supposed to be the crowning achievement when it came to castles in Wales, especially after the construction of Caernarfon Castle and Harlech Castle. However, due to Edward being caught short money-wise and trouble brewing in Scotland, the castle never reached its full height. Despite this work being abandoned, the castle remains a functional stronghold until it was besieged by the Welsh in 1403, but swiftly taken back in 1405. But one of the darker events to have been held at the castle was the execution of a priest by the name of William Davis. As I've banged on about in several other episodes, in the mid-1500s, under Henry VIII, Britain went through a major religious reform. In the pursuit of both money and the want to marry a new queen, he broke from Catholicism and converted to Protestantism. The country then did an about-turn under his daughter Mary in a dramatic way as she sought to punish the Protestants and backsliders. And then it swung about again when Mary snuffed it and her half-sister Elizabeth I took to the throne. Although Elizabeth was Protestant, she did not set out to destroy Catholicism. She did, however, place heavy restrictions on the preaching of the religion. This is where William Davis came unstuck. You see, he was a Catholic preacher. He was in for a rough ride. On the 27th of July, William Davis was sentenced and found guilty of being a traitor, the penalty of which is possibly one of the most horrific of all tortures. He was hung, drawn and quartered. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with this punishment, I will describe it, but I will also say that those who are of a delicate disposition, strap in. It's a rough listen. First, the prisoner is hung by the neck until almost dead. When they are approaching the end of their life, they would be cut down, and then, while still alive, attached to the back of a horse by a rope. The horse would then be spurred on to drag the prisoner to the scaffolding. After the prisoner had been drawn to the location, the final stage of the process is undertaken. This part of the process is truly horrific. The prisoner is tied down to a table. While still alive, the prisoner is then split from the neck to their groin, opened up, and one by one, the organs are removed and burned in front of their dying eyes. Finally, the corpse is attached to 4 horses and literally ripped limb from limb. Each limb would be taken and boiled in tar and impaled in a public place for all to see. Often than not, the boiled head would be mounted on London Bridge as a warning to all others. Since the brutal execution of William Davies at Beaumaris Castle, darkened shadows of a hooded monk have been seen darting from one room to another and through the corridors. Occasionally, visitors to the castle have heard the echoing sound of chants coming from somewhere in the castle. Despite us hurtling through the stunning countryside of Anglesey at a staggering 20 miles per hour and seeing a massive amount of it, we didn't manage to see the north-northeast of the island. According to online sources, on the northernmost shore of Anglesey there is a power plant called the Wylfa Power Station. Here there is a peculiar tale that resides within the power station. In 1964, there were a group of Irish construction workers underground building a new tunnel as part of the station. Through the dust and debris, they laughed and joked whilst cutting through the deep bedrock. That was until they heard a noise. They stopped and glanced at each other before listening intently in the direction of the tunnel. They could hear a faint voice humming quietly and echoing in the distance. They froze as the ghostly apparition of a woman in white appeared in the gloom of the tunnel. She hovered there for a minute, with a blank look on her face before vanishing into thin air. They finished up their work and filed out of the tunnel without saying a word. Now, I will say that it's been rumoured that the encounter was fabricated by several of the local workers playing a practical joke on the more superstitious Irish workers. That was until sightings were witnessed by even more of the workers. Shortly after the first sighting in the tunnel, two separate groups of workers stood on opposite sides of the power station. When they saw the woman in white in an evening gown walking towards the cliffs. Once again, they heard her humming to herself as she walked. They began calling to her as she proceeded closer and closer to the cliff face, but she did not turn. As they watched in puzzlement, she reached the cliff and hummed gently whilst peering out to sea. Then, as the two separate groups watched in amazement, the humming drifted away in the wind and the figure faded from view. It is said that she still continues to be seen throughout the complex, drifting past office windows at 3 a.m. in the morning, humming a haunting tune. So who is this mysterious figure that stalks the tunnels and grounds of the Wylfa Power Station? An interesting article by Anne Farrell in Anglesey Today provides a clue to the potential identity of the ghostly apparition. Wales has been likened to New Zealand in many ways. Stunning sceneries, our love of rugby, and the unusual high proportion of sheep to humans, earning us the nickname of sheepshaggers from our closest neighbours.
True story, I was standing in a bar in Bondi there, right, minding my own business, just having a couple of beers and standing there having a few beers. This Aussie guy came up to me and went, "So, mate, where are you from?" I went, "Oh, mate, I'm a Kiwi." He went, "Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?" Called out to his missus, "Hey, Shell! Abbo fella here reckons he's a Kiwi." She went, "Fucking sheepshagger." I said, "I beg your pardon, madam." She went, "Well, you're a Kiwi, aren't you?" And you? She goes, "Oh, you blokes shag sheep, don't you?" I went, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we do. Yeah. Every kid in New Zealand gets given a sheep at 13 years old, and we shag its ass for 2 years. Then we export it to Australia, and you fuckers eat it."
In 1912, a New Zealand singer by the name of Rosina Buckman arrived in Britain. She quickly became a highly recognised singer in British society. So what does this have to do with Anglesey? Rosina passed away in Battersea General Hospital in London on the 31st of December 1948. So why would her spirit be haunting a nuclear power station in the north of Wales? During the construction of the Wylfa Power Station, the land was bought, and on that land was Rosina's holiday home. After she retired from singing, she moved to Anglesey to live in the holiday home with her husband. Both had long passed away by the time the power station bought the land. However, that was also the site where she felt closest to the sea, and therefore closest to New Zealand. After her passing, her ashes were enclosed in a small casket on the cliff face below her house. These were then moved and relocated when the land was sold, to make way for the Wylfa Power Station. It is believed by locals that this is the reason why Rosina's ghost became restless and began to haunt the area. An interview was conducted with one of the local residents in 1972, who expressed his disdain for the casket being moved. Unfortunately, I was denied access to the original interview by the BBC since it didn't feature me or a business that I own. My argument to this was it was very difficult for me to feature in a video that occurred 15 years before I was born. Not only that, the BBC also wanted £30 for the privilege, and I'm too skint. So let me know what you think about these two new ghost stories. Well, that's all from us here at Dark Entertainment. I hope that you've enjoyed the episode. And if you have, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for all notifications. But remember to give it a big thumbs up, as that'll really help the channel. If you wish to get in contact with me, leave a comment down below. I aim to answer all comments. I'm also available on X or on Facebook. And if you've got a story that you'd like me to tell, a location that you'd like me to look into, or a suggestion for the channel, feel free to email me at dark_entertainment@outlook.com. And remember, stay dark, stay creepy, and always laugh. Ta-ta! Shit.